Welcome to the IndyKast, brought to you by the Cult of Kayfabe. We're the podcast for all things not Vince or Dixie, with interviews, commentary, and chaos direct from the Sunshine State.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome once again to another wonderful episode of the IndyKast. I am, as always, not coughing my lungs out, Chad Allen. The person that is coughing his lungs out as I do my intro is the one and only Zach Romero.
Hey, I was just being rude. I just didn't want you to botch this intro, so I decided to be a rude patron in a quiet theater.
You thought you'd save me from botching another one like I did a couple of weeks ago. As with us always is, as well, is our lovely co-host Luna Lynn.
Why, thank you.
I've been looking forward to this one for a little while. For those of you that are on our Twitter feed, I've actually been hyping up this one pretty big in the last couple days here, because we have the one, the only, Sidney Bakabella from Chikara, manager of the Devastation Corporation.
That's right, and I also manage Jaka and No Leg the Usurper as well. And I'm pretty sure that I am the best manager out there right now, because he's up in New York and he's doing his own thing, being a puppet. I can actually do what I want to do. He may be making a couple of dollars more, but I'm doing okay for myself. I got the Hogan money coming in.
And that's the important part, that you always have the Hogan money coming in. So, Sidney, just for the listeners that we have on here that may not know who you are, obviously you kind of went over the people that you that are under your tutelage. Just tell everybody a little bit about who Sidney Bakabella is.
Well, if you turn on ESPN every day at 4 o'clock, you get to see me working for Vern along with the Devastation Corporation. I've been managing these guys ever since we were up for Eddie Farhart up in Detroit, Michigan. I saw them working at a bar up there. There were a couple of bouncers. I said, "You couple of guys look like workers." They said, "We're bodybuilders." And then Max Smashmaster played the guitar, so I figured he'd be a good hand, get him right down there and make a couple of bucks.
Well, now I'm interested. So obviously you started with Blaster and Blaster McMassive and Flex Rumble Crunch. That was the original two. Mm-hmm. And then so Max plays the guitar. I did not know Max was a musician.
Fun fact.
Where did you find Max at? How did that kind of come about?
Well, they were the two bouncers, and then he's out there panhandling. So with the guitar, trying to make, so I knew the kid was right away.
We'll have to give you just a second, Sidney. I think your old school. Big car phone there might have caused a bit of a setup on that one, but that's okay. I think we got you back again. So
all right, they have me paying. I think I actually pay $8.30 a minute on this car phone with MCI. And as I'm driving, I'm actually driving from Tony Atlas's house up in Maine to get to the show down in Eastern Pennsylvania this weekend. Tony Atlas keeps me up there. I'm telling you right now, the man loves feet.
Speaking of, not feet, but actually surprisingly enough, but the show coming up, the Chikara infamous King of Trios tournament, which is shaping up to be a big deal. So it goes without saying, so you got this in the bag, right? Like that's what the bottom line.
I just had Max Smashmaster and Flex Rumble Crunch down in Aruba last week. They were competing in the Aruban King of Duos tournament. And they won that, or they would have won, but then what I was told, I wasn't there, but from what I was told, they sent out Hawk and Animal imposters to come out there and do a little run-in and then run out the back door. But it's all right, because I told them anytime you get screwed over at a show, you walk up to the gate and you take the cash box. Who's going to stop you? So they've been preparing. They were in the King of Duos tournament down in Aruba. Had them over with Baba a few months ago. So they did a 415-team tournament out there. They are ready for this weekend. They dine on tournaments. I'm telling you right now, there's no way that Devastation Corporation can lose the King of the Trios tournament.
How long does a 415-team tournament go for?
You know, that's the thing is in Japan, everybody works faster. Everybody does everything a lot faster. So it actually took 1.5 days.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't understand how the Chikara guys, they only have 16 teams. It takes them 3 days. But you know what? It's more paydays for me. I don't care. I hit the pay window 3 times as opposed to 1. Actually, I hit the pay window. If we go to the finals, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3. I hit it 12 times.
That's Bakabella math for you.
And
It is right there.
It's better. It's better than the new math stuff.
Yeah.
So
I like old Coke.
So, since you're sending them all over to the slightly lesser known King of Duos tournament and whatnot, what is an average training montage for the Devastation Corporation look like?
All right, what they're going to do prior to the show, they're going to wake up, they're going to do 550 Hindu squats. From there, they run down to the local gymnasium where they're going to get an hour of strength training in every day. After that, they're going to have a meal. From there, they come back to the gymnasium. They're going to swim laps to get their cardiovascular up there. And then from there, they come back home, eat another meal, back to the gym, lift a little more weights. And I have them doing this on their off days all day long. Now, before matches, what they're going to do is they eat each one of them will eat 3 12-ounce porterhouse steaks, take a lukewarm bath, put the face paint on, go out there and win the match.
Well, I was going to say, that brings me to 2 questions. One, when they're swimming laps to build up their cardio, do they have the face paint on? And 2, when they're doing the strength training, do they use those giant pins that the Iron Sheik uses to do the weird whirl above his head test of strength?
You know, here's a funny story about the Iron Sheik. We were down in Fayetteville, Georgia one night. Sheiky pulls up and says, "Bubba, baby, you cannot do the Iron Sheik Persian Club." And he's going on and on and on. He was on a bender, I think. So Max Matchmaster takes 3 of the Persian clubs out of the trunk of the car and just starts doing them. And what's funny is Jim Hellwig comes over. He's doing he's an Indian in real life, but his gimmick there where he has the face paint on too, couldn't lift him over his head. He's a weak man. The Iron Sheik, I give him all the respect in the world. I love Kaz to death. But, Max Smashmaster Brosman, Massive, both did the Persian clubs, but the Indian there couldn't do it.
Good. Well, thank you for that. It finally puts that ugly rumor to rest.
That's right.
The Indian. That's still getting me for Jim Hellwig. Jim Hellwig was an Indian. I did not know until...
News to me.
We're a face paint your Indian.
So, hold on. So does that mean Flex is an Indian?
No. Flex Rumble Crunch is just a big dumb white guy that I found up in Boston.
Fair enough.
There you go.
So if they ever have like G.I. Joe trading cards for the Chikara wrestlers, I feel like that's what it should say on the back of his. Just
big dumb white guy.
Sidney Bakabella found in Boston.
Big dumb white dude. Bakabella found him in Boston. Absolutely. Speaking of G.I. Joe trading cards, I saw Sergeant Slaughter up in Minneapolis a couple of weeks ago hawking those things at a flea market. The guy can't get rid of them. He was giving cases and cases of them. Guy can't get rid of any of the G.I. Joe trading cards. He gave me a VHS tape of him and Bigfoot there pulling the monster trucks or whatever, Slaughter's Marauders. And he was trying to pull the monster truck and everything else. I haven't even watched it yet. I won't watch it. I'll probably sell it at the merch table for $5.
First off, that was an amazing segue. And second of all, Slaughter's Marauders, I cannot believe you brought that up. That's quite the obscure reference.
It's the hottest thing on TV right now.
I know.
That's true.
How are you missing the Team Challenge series on ESPN right now?
I apologize.
Let me give you a little spoiler. Jake Milliman's going to hit everybody with a turkey and go over. You think I'm crazy now. They actually filmed it at the Showboat Casino 2 weeks ago. The only reason I'm spoiling it is because Vern Gagne tried not to pay me. So, Jake Milliman, of all people, the guy hasn't won a match since 1977. They have him go over thinking Jake Milliman is actually gonna be the guy that's gonna rival Hogan and bring Vern's territory back up to the top. What a buffoon!
Jake the Milkman Milliman. That's
You have the Hulk. Vince McMahon has the Hulk in New York. So, in Vern's infinite wisdom, it's Vern Gagne, Stanley Blackburn in Texas, Jerry Blackwell, all sitting around a table. What can rival the Hulk? I've got it. It's the Milkman. We gave our notice right away. We went down to work for Poffo.
Yeah, that's fair.
There you go. Now, and now, how has it been working? How was it working for Vern? I guess what was working for Vern, especially when he was, obviously the AWA was quite the hot is quite the hot territory going. Slaughter's Marauders being a decent team in that one. What's Baron Von Raschke's team? I haven't watched this week.
Oh, I don't even remember. I couldn't tell you. We don't even talk to the Baron. The Baron, he's like him and the Mad Dog up there. They're like the Glory Boys, all right? They're supposed to be rivaling Hogan right now. But what the problem is, they want their own locker room, and they don't want to work with the Devastation Corporation. They think that we're too new and flashy. All we do is kick, punch. But, I guess if you're not doing a claw and gouging someone's eye for 15 minutes, they don't want to work with you. So you know what, Von Raschke? We don't want to work with you. We'd rather be in Texas anyways. There's actually paydays up there because Vernon Gagne doesn't pay anybody.
And how is it working for the Poffos right now?
Poffos right now, business is down because you have Lawler, who's doing all of this crazy stuff there. He's throwing fireballs at everybody. And Vince Jr.'s out pillaging everybody, so you got Randy and Lanny are gone. So, business is down right now, but don't worry, we've been talking to Gary Hart. We are going into Texas in the coming weeks. We absolutely love Fritz. Fritz is one of the best paydays, him and Gary Hart, best booker. I don't like Gary Hart as a manager per se, because he always wants to throw the fire, and Akbar wants to throw the fire, and all they do is fight about who's going to throw the fire tonight. I go out there and I just care about, hey, I just want to make a buck.
Now, you've mentioned already that you're not a big Gary Hart fan because of the fire. You have a thing against fire, I've noticed here, because you've. Is there anybody out there right now, other than obviously the men that you run right now, that you do like? Who are some of the people that have made Sidney Bakabella what he is?
I'm trying to think here. Well, Ed McLemore down in Texas. McLemore is one of the nicest men ever. He could be my father because my mother was a rat for him.
Oh, Jesus. Well, then. That's a delight.
Yeah, so it could happen. I don't know. And then sweetheart Luna there. Oh, Luna, I love your daddy, your uncle Paul up in Montreal so much. We got to do everything up in Grand Prix with him. Sweetheart, I hope you're great. I hope everything's good, Luna. I think if you were on Vince Jr.'s TV there with Sherry, there would be no need for Moolah. So just know that we're all pulling for you. We think you're one of the biggest sweethearts in wrestling.
Why, thank you. I am quite jealous of Sherry's eye makeup, so I'm hoping I can rival that myself, but I'm working for it.
What you do? Let me give you a little bit of advice here, sweetheart. Shave half of your head and draw veins on it. You want a rival.
I'm writing that down.
That's a gutsy move. That's a gutsy move.
It takes guts to make bucks.
Where is that shirt right now? I want that shirt. I'll pay top dollar for it. I'm replacing. I was going to say, I'll replace my previous favorite shirt of Dusty Sucks Eggs. I'll throw that one away for You Need Guts to Make Bucks.
Absolutely. And speaking of Dusty Sucks Egg shirts, I actually gave Terry Funk that idea. So he never cut me in. So Terry Funk, you're another no-good piece of garbage as well, and I hope your hips give out from all the stupid bumps you take.
Do you have any good Terry Funk stories?
Oh, I have a million Terry Funk stories. We're in a hotel one night in Hershey, Pennsylvania. We were coming up to do Vince's TV for him. We actually decided to do it. And there's Terry Funk. We walk into the hotel lobby, and there's Terry Funk, completely drunk Terry Funk, go figure, in his underwear, sitting in the hotel lobby, just his white briefs. He gets up. We walk in the door. He gives us the biggest hugs. He then slips and falls down, and then he passes out in the hotel lobby chair. And we just look at him like, this is going to be one of the guys on Vince Jr.'s TV. We didn't even go to TV that day. We went down to Texas.
That's quite the drive, though. So, well, no.
Well, I was just going to say, another story I remember hearing was there was a point where I believe Andre the Giant got so hammered that he passed out in a hotel lobby, and the staff tried to move him, and nobody could. So he got to just sleep in the lobby that night. Because when Andre the Giant decides he's sleeping somewhere, you don't move on him.
That's another guy I hate is Andre the Giant.
Okay.
So I have 1,000,004 Andre stories because I did a lot of work with your uncle up in Montreal. So Andre the Giant, I don't know if you know this or not, but Andre the Giant can't use a toilet. He has to defecate in a bathtub. Little known fact.
I've heard that.
So Andre would actually tip $200 after he would stay in a hotel just because he felt bad because the maid had to clean up the duty. So he would leave that money there. But one of my favorite stories is I'm sitting there with big Sugar Bear, and Andre doesn't want to put Sugar Bear over at the Cops Coliseum. Yeah, and Sugar Bear he's ready to he's getting angry, and you could tell. Pulls a gun, puts it in Andre the Giant's face. I'm telling you right now, Andre the Giant went out there and sold for Kamala. He couldn't. You would think that Andre the Giant was the rookie in the match, and Kamala was the vet. And Sugar Bear, he didn't go over that night because it wasn't his territory. He was afraid of being a black man. He would get shot up in Montreal.
Oh, Jesus. Well then.
Wow. So, well, let's.
No, guys, race is a huge problem in wrestling. If you're one of the coloreds, I see it with Blaster McMassive all the time. Bill Watts does not pay Blaster McMassive. I actually have to charge Bill Watts personally extra for me and give it to Blaster because Bill Watts is such a racist. And I'm telling you right now, you name one black champion that's ever worked for Vince McMahon.
I cannot do that.
Are we counting tag champs or are we just counting individual?
No. Just his top champ. Just the guy that's going to go to each one of these television affiliates and say, hey, I'm Vince Jr.'s champion. The top guy. You can't name a black man.
That's true. That's true.
At the time, you're absolutely right, because I know we had mentioned your buddy Tony Atlas was obviously a former tag champ, but had never quite made the climb to the top.
Tony Atlas is more white than I am.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Tony Atlas is a coconut. He's brown on the outside, white on the inside.
Okay. So, the Legion of Doom, notorious for being particularly stiff, as the industry term I've been known apparently is used, particularly stiff workers. I would imagine that the Devastation Corporation, do they run into a similar problem? Are they known to be particularly stiff, and does that cause problems in booking for places like Japan or something like that?
They can be stiff. If calls for it, if two people want to cooperate work, they can definitely be stiff.
Okay.
But the problem with the Road Warriors don't know wrestling out. They're both bodybuilders from up in Minnesota. And who's their manager there? Pretty Paul. He has to X's and O's on a whiteboard to tell Joe and Mike where they have to be. And then from there, all they're going to do is remember their X's and O's from when they're calling their matches before. And they're going to go out there and do exactly what those X's and O's said. They can't call a match on the fly to save their lives. They are cheap ripoffs of the Devastation Corporation. They are garbage workers. They are unsafe. They are stiff. And quite frankly, it pisses me off to see these guys getting all this work everywhere else, making all this money for the Crockett's. They make $500,000 a year. And, it just gets under my skin that two guys that can't work, you put some face paint on them, call them the Legion of Doom instead of the Devastation Corporation, and, they get all this money and everything else. And they are the biggest, cheapest ripoffs I've ever seen in wrestling.
Well, and there's a couple other ripoffs out there as well, because I believe, don't you have Barbarian would be a kind of a ripoff of the Devastation Corporation as well, wouldn't he?
He definitely would. Barbarian is a cheap ripoff of the Devastation Corporation. That's a guy that should be wearing antlers and being a nomad or something like that. That's the kind of gimmick that he should have.
Now, for the King of Trios that's coming up, to kind of get a little more curve back into this one here, your team has been affiliated recently with the Flood, which is obviously the group trying to take out Chikara. I guess we have to ask you why.
Well, why are they trying to take out Chikara?
Why? Well, yes, and then why are you associated with them? You would think you would want to go the other way for another place that's giving you the proverbial pay window.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know why they're trying to take out Chikara. I could care less. Why we are with the Flood is the easiest question that I get asked all the time, and it's about money. They are paying us. When I always mention Hogan money, Decalion pays us Hogan money. So these these guys are taken care of, and their kids are taken care of, and their kids' kids will probably be taken care of. Sidney Bakabella, I can get my wife and 5 kids, anything that they need around the house. So if Chikara boys would have come to me and said, hey, we'll give you Hogan money if you fight with us, we would have fought with them. The problem is they didn't do it. We don't have any loyalty. We go wherever the money is. That's all we care about is money. I've got a wife and 5 kids that I have to feed. I've got to feed those kids. Devastation Corporation. They're not going to be wrestling for 30 years like Ivan Koloff is doing. So we've got to take care of our finances first.
Now, question for you. Now, you've got the trios of the Devastation Corporation. You've got so obviously you've got your enforcers taken care of. You got your money making team. Any plans to maybe branch out to, I don't know, something like a bigger family of wrestlers?
Well, don't forget he's got Oleg and Baka both on his side as well, so he actually does have the larger stable going.
That's true.
That's right. We are the largest stable in wrestling right now. Oleg the Usurper, he is my king. Jaka, I actually found him down in the South American part of Africa, and he is phenomenal to watch. You see that rip-off Jimmy Snuka on TV. Jaka's a million times better. His head is the weapon.
That's true.
So, do you have any plans for what Oleg and Jaka might be doing for King of Trios? Or are they going to be making...
I leave that up to what needs to be done the day of the show.
Okay.
If we need anything done, let's say Flex Rumble Crunch takes a knee injury or Blaster McMassive gets a shellfish allergy, then I can substitute and pull and mix and match. If I think Jock would work better with 2, or if I think Oleg would work better with 2, I have a plan, and those guys are also paid to be there.
So they're there at your ready, just in case they might be needed to be tagged in this particular setup.
Just in case. You know that John Nord actually stayed behind the scenes in 1983 up in the AWA, never worked a match up there. But just in case somebody got hurt, John Nord could have been put into any match.
Oh, that's good to know. I did not know Nord the Barbarian was just kind of hanging out there.
He was ready in the wings.
It's sitting out back.
So, and now I'm trying to look, and I'm bringing up the card. What's your guys' first round match? I know they just announced the matches fairly recently.
We've got a woman.
You do. You are fighting.
Yeah. We've got the skinny kid, the polite kid, and the woman.
They are fighting Thunder Kitty, Marion Fontaine, and a favorite of the IndyKast, one Mr. Jervis Cottonbelly. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the team that you have in front of you thus far?
Marion Fontaine, I don't know. I just know he's skinny. He's going to get up. Thunder Kitty, I don't know her, but I'm telling you right now, if she's not taking notes from Donna Christianello and Judy Martin, she's going to have a long night, because I will personally slap her in the face and put her back in the kitchen. The person I have the biggest problem with, without a doubt, is Jervis Cottonbelly. This guy here, he sits out there and gives away his 8x10s for free. Takes pictures with people for free. I'm sitting there trying to make a buck at the gimmick table, and this guy, oh, hello, lordy. And he's taking pictures and everything else. Can't stand the guy. Quite frankly, I want to pour sugar in his gas tank.
So, if they didn't already have taglines for the show, I mean, I don't know if you can go any better than come see Sidney Bakabella slap Thunder Kitty back into the kitchen and pour sugar in Jervis Cottonbelly's gas tank.
Though, Sidney, you might have one little bit of respect because for Thunder Kitty, because I do believe Moolah might have had something to do with her training. So she does.
Moolah is overrated. Moolah is nothing. Moolah. Every time I come to the Northeast or on the East Coast, everybody talks about Moolah. Telling you right now, she's shacking up with Mae Young.
Oh!
You heard it here first.
I was going to ask if you had any Moolah stories, but apparently we got right to that one.
That's a great Moolah story, actually.
Oh, do you?
Good Moolah story, so it's me, Greg Valentine, and Kaz, good friend of mine, the Iron Sheik, and Fabulous Moolah. We're driving to Providence, Rhode Island. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not. I don't know if it's all kayfabe or whatever. but the Iron Sheik likes to smoke the marijuana cigarettes.
Good to know.
Wait.
Okay, news to me.
Yeah, you've heard it here first.
All right. So, in case you haven't heard, like, Sheiky, he likes the medicine. So, Sheiky's in the passenger seat, Greg Valentine's driving, Moolah and I are in the back seat. And the Iron Sheik lights up one of those cigarettes. And the fabulous Moolah goes, "Put that out. I don't like." Can I swear on this?
Sure.
Go for it.
All right. I want to keep it. I want to keep it authentic to what happened that day. So he lights up, and she goes, "Put that out. I don't like that shit."
Ooh.
So Sheiky says, "All right, you want me to put it out?" Sheiky puts it out on his leg. Nice. Greg, pull over. So Greg pulls over on 95, and he looks at Moolah and goes, "You don't like this? Get the fuck out and walk." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" He gets out of the car, opens the door, pulls the fabulous Moolah out. She actually had to call Tito Santana to turn around and pick her up. That way she can get to the show that night. It was one of the greatest things I'd ever seen. And that day, you always hear about how tough fabulous Moolah was and everything else. Yeah, right. She cowered down to the Iron Sheik. And I have no respect for her. She's not tough. She's not good. And if this Thunder Kitty thinks that she's going to open her mouth, I promise you I'll treat her exactly the same way that my good friend Kaz treated the Moolah.
And we probably don't have Tito Santana anywhere to come pick her up.
That's true.
So what would we do then?
Yeah, she'll probably end up calling baseball face or something like that.
Baseball.
Interestingly enough, that you mentioned the throwbacks. Obviously you guys have to have plans of probably going after those belts next. I would assume after the assumptive win of the King of Trios.
Right.
Well, here's the dumb thing about the Chikara. You need all these points. If I wanted to play a sport that I had to collect points, I would go and play a baseball game, or I would manage a baseball team or a football team, and Max Smashmaster would be the best quarterback, Blaster McMaster would be my running back. So here you need all these points that you have to accumulate, and I lose track because we win so much, so I don't know how many points we have or anything else, but you need the points to get the tag team title shots so your champions can sit there safe until everybody else gets really tired and everything else. It makes no sense. Devastation Corporation, #1 contenders for the World Tag Team titles of the Chikara.
So here's my question to you. Let's think ahead for just a moment. So, 2 members of the Devastation Corporation are the tag team champions. Who do you pick to go after the Grand Championship? Because you got to have all the gold in your stable. Who do you pick as your guy to go to for Grand Championship?
In a perfect world, what I would want, and this is just between you, me, and nobody that's listening.
Right, of course.
There are 10s and 10s, as we call them.
Right.
10s. I want Flex Rumble Crunch and Blaster McMassive as my tag team champions because they are the most agile. They are just everything that a tag team should be. And then from there, I want my Max Smashmaster as my Chikara World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. Because Max Smashmaster, I don't care what anyone says, pound for pound, this guy here is the best big man in wrestling right now that's not on TV. He's lost 60 pounds as we speak. He keeps losing weight. The man reminds me of a combination of Buddy Rose and Terry Bam Bam Gordy. He's been my little pet for the last 5 or 6 years. I absolutely love Max Smashmaster, and there is nobody more fitting in that Chikara locker room to carry that company than Max Smashmaster.
Well, now this leads me to an interesting question then, because obviously you have Oleg the Usurper and Jaka there. Do you not have Oleg go for the singles title, because then you've got the what they would call the Freebird rule, I think, where any of your 3 could then defend the tag titles.
That's true.
Well, the problem is Oleg doesn't win matches.
Oh, well.
You put him out there, the guy's going to do something stupid or see something shiny, and he's not going to win the wrestling match and make the pay window. I think the guy this year is 0-57,000. So
wow.
The man has some definite mental issues, and every time I think we've gotten over it, he just reverts back to whatever he's been doing there. So with that, I mean, I think Jaka could be the world champion there. But the problem is they would throw everything at him because he's not an American. So, they would put every obstacle in front of him because, once again, it ties back to wrestling is racist. And Jaka's not an American, so they would throw everything at him. So I've got to fight the battles that I can win.
Yeah. Okay. Well, touche. You do have me there. So.
And speaking of Chikara and uncomfortable conversations, we did learn recently that the Cobra Ophidian was unfortunately robbed of his gear for King of Trios. So he and the First Lady of the Cobra Nation are scrambling to sort of get his gear ready so that he can also compete in the show. Have you ever had a situation like that where either gear got stolen or from you or one of your talent, or crazy things happen on the road?
I think I know what you're insinuating. Blasted McMassive didn't steal that wrestling gear.
I'm just saying, if he had an alibi,
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Because he's a black man doesn't mean he's a thief, all right? I've never had my gear stolen. I'm a professional, so I keep my gear right with me at all times getting on and off the plane. However, I do have a great story about Bobby Eaton one time who left his gear out, or wore his gear out to the ring, and then comes back and we all cut the pockets out of his jeans just because we thought it would be funny.
Well, of course.
But, I just want to clear the air with the snake there and the mummy. No, Blaster McMassive did not steal your clothes. And if I were you, if you want to blame somebody and be racist, look at your friend, the mummy there.
Okay.
So hold it up. We're insinuating that Amasis has stolen Ophidian's clothing.
That it was
a perfect heel turn.
It's true. It's an inside job.
Hey, I'm not saying he did, but I'm not saying he didn't. Here's the thing, Amasis now can take double the paydays because the snake can't work the match. So he's like, I'll pull double duty, go out there, make a couple of bucks, and the snake's still waiting on a new mask.
Well, there we go. We've learned a lot of different things here today.
It's been very much of a learning experience today, really.
So now what? Just out of interest, why of all people was it Bobby Eaton that you decided to cut the pockets out for? I've heard Bobby's actually a really nice guy.
Bobby's a sweetheart, but he had no idea that we cut his pockets out till 3 months later because he's that slow. So it takes him that long to catch up. He keeps putting stuff in there. He put his paydays in his pocket, and I just walk behind him and pick up his money and put it in my pocket.
Well, you heard it here. Be warned, in the Chikara locker room, your street clothes may have holes in them so that Sidney Bakabella can take your money.
Oh, it was a great time. Those times in my career were some of the best. We had so much fun with ribbing each other and everything else. I gave Bobby all of his money back. He's going to have a heart attack if I don't. So,
God! Oh my God!
I'm sorry.
I think you go, Chad.
I should not be laughing at that.
No, you're going right to hell. You're going right
to hell for that. Holy Jesus Christ.
I've never on one of these interviews if I started laughing in the middle of something that I've said myself.
That's a first. I'll take that first.
I will take that. We will happily accept that as a first. So
this is yours. This is your moment, guys.
Thank you. Any other? I want to give an option just as an open here. Any other good rib stories since we're on that one that you might want to throw in here before we get to the wind up?
I think we need to end this interview on a high note.
That's legit.
Good call. Zach, I think we might have the time to go to the big two here.
Okay,
would you like to begin your big two?
Yes. So, Mr. Bakabella, one question we do like to ask. In the sport that we love, that we're all talking about here, sometimes
Volleyball?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. How dare you?
That we call your father.
Right. Exactly. Thank you. Unfortunately, we lose a lot of talent before their time, and so one of the questions we like to ask all of our guests is if there was any wrestlers out there, any other managers, somebody that maybe is no longer around or no longer wrestling that you would have loved to have worked with at some point, who would it be?
For me, I think I came in about a year after the Grand Wizard stopped working, and that's one of the guys. And then the other guy, hands down, one of the biggest influences on me, and we just never got to cross paths, was Captain Lou Albano. I think that I've stolen a lot of stuff from Lou. Lou's stolen a lot of stuff from me. And we just never got the chance to work with each other. And then there's that rat down in Memphis, Kaufman, that I would love to work with.
Well, you know, they say you're only as good as the people you rip off. So that's a beautiful thing between you and Captain Lou.
It's true. I love and respect Captain Lou Albano. I just wish that there were, that one show that, we crossed paths. We didn't even have to work together, but we just could have sat in the back and shot the shit. And we didn't get to do that.
That's unfortunate. Now, question number 2, a little bit of exposition to it, so I apologize in advance. It's our belief here on the IndyKast that every animal in nature, by its own God-given evolutionary abilities, has some sort of gimmick that keeps it alive. For instance, rhinoceros have the horns and the hard hides, giraffes have long necks, whatever. So, it is our belief that man, as a creature, its evolutionary trait for survival is its ability to use tools. So with that said, Sidney Bakabella, if you could fight any animal, what would it be, and what weapons do you use?
I would probably fight a kitten with a hammer because I know I'd win.
That's that's one of the fastest answers we've ever gotten, and B, I completely agree. That's a good fight.
If I have my choice to fight any animal, why am I going to go out and fight a bear? I'm going to fight a kitten because I know I'm going to beat him.
Now, follow-up question, is the kitten declawed, or does it have use of its claws?
I don't want to take any chances. Rip those claws out of those paws.
And with that one, you have officially killed Zach. Oh, my God. Yeah,
Christmas came early for Chad Allen, and
you are damn right it did.
So, do we have any other questions? Anything else? I don't know how we top this.
I don't know how to top this. So, Sidney, do you have anything that anything you'd like to plug? I've been obviously King of Trios. Any place
Saturday, if you're in the tri-state area there, don't go to Hershey and watch Vince Jr.'s product. He's just going to have Piper and Hits snooker with a coconut, and then they're going to go into an angle that they never finish. So what you should do, come down to Easton, Pennsylvania at the Funplex, Golden Pond Road, I believe is the name of the street. It's the only building on the road. And come out and meet, without a doubt, some of the best pro wrestling storytelling that you're ever going to see. Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday afternoon, come watch the Devastation Corporation win the King of the Trios tournament. And then from there, make sure that you go, and this is from Max Smashmaster, so I have to read it. He's got all this mumbo-jumbo. So you guys can decipher whatever the hell this means. I have no idea. www.prowrestlingtees.com/Devastation Corporation, and you can get a Sidney Bakabella t-shirt if you want one.
That was actually going to be my question. So
I think I want one, especially after this interview. Holy crap! And I'd like to thank you for making my segue pretty easy. While you're on there buying your Sidney Bakabella shirt, go buy a Cult of Kayfabe shirt because obviously we are on that interwebs thing too. So
whatever that is.
All right. Well, gentlemen and little Luna, make sure you remember what I said about shaving half of your head. Guys, it's been a pleasure. This has been one of the most fun radio interviews that I've ever done. You have nothing. Casey Kasem has nothing on you. Rick Dees has nothing on you. Guys, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate it as well.
Thank you so much.
And until next time, everybody, I am, as always, Chad Allen.
I am Zach Romero.
And I'm Luna Vachon.
And I think we're done now.
Yeah, I think we're done here.
Goodbye.